and we rely heavily on the local businesses who have vested interest in supporting groups like us to thrive in this community. I've witnessed them support many other nonprofits like Jacoby J. Kent, among the other many nonprofits that support this area, whether it's the school or through the stock show or other events. And so I ask that you continue to support the local businesses that support us, that rely on the contributions of the nonprofits. And I wasn't going to say this before, but they know our kids. My son worked for the Vincents and has grown tremendously as a person being with them. That, like he said, doesn't come from corporate, doesn't come from outside people who don't have invested interest on the kids in this community. So everything Mr. Vincent just said, I've seen as a witness, and I ask that y'all continue to support them as they support us. Thank you.
Just put it out there. Any other comments that anybody has? Yes, ma'am.
What would be the process at this point? I'm sorry. Quiet. So what
Stand
is,
up so we can.
I'm sorry. What is the process at this point? I'm sure that a lot of us are going to be very curious since I don't get to be a part of this process. And by the way, y'all have been very professional. It's been very interesting, so I really enjoyed this. But my point is that at this point, then what happens? And will there be any more open opportunity to speak? Will the city council just make a decision and then that's that? Like, could you guide us on how things are going to go from here?
As soon as we're done with public comments, we're going to close the public hearing. Then we're going to discuss and consider action. Someone up here will make a motion. Someone will probably second it. And we'll discuss it and then we'll vote on it. Depending upon the outcome of that vote, there could be continued action down the road, next month, whatever. It all depends on what happens, but we are going to make a decision tonight whether or not to rezone this property from C1 to C2. I will go the extra mile and say that there's a lot of emotion in this room, and I hear everything everybody's saying, but we are going to look at C1, C2, what makes sense for the city, what makes sense for that particular area. The traffic concerns are very well heard. The community involvement is very well heard. But those are the things that are going to go into that decision. But we will make a decision tonight, right, wrong, or indifferent. It's going to get made. And then we'll go from there, depending on what that decision is. Yes, sir.
Well, I'm Don right here, and I do own that property that the grind is going to purchase. And I would just like to say, you know, we live in the greatest country in the history of the world, and we have the right to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, which means I can do whatever I want to do, as long as I don't violate you or someone else. As long as I play by the rules, I should be able to do whatever I want to do. If we have 10 Mexican restaurants or 14 coffee shops or whatever it is, as long as I'm playing by the rules, I should be able to try. I started my business, I was one-man shop against all big AC contractors. And I continue to work hard and make the business that it was. So everybody has the right to go into business, create a business, build a business. The government doesn't have the right, you don't have the right to pick and choose who wins and who loses. Competition all makes us better. Competition is what built this country. Competition, free enterprise. That's how it works. And if another coffee shop comes to town and others don't provide great coffee or great service, that's on them. That's not on the new guys who come to town. If the new guys come to town and provide crummy service, crummy coffee, that's their money and their loss. But the government, the city of Vernia, doesn't get to pick winners and losers. Everybody wants to, if they want to go in business, they can do that. That's how this country works. It's called capitalism. That's what I have to say.
All right. Thanks, sir.
It's we were a Republican in the
We're good? All right, we're gonna close the public hearing at 8:15 PM. We're gonna move on to A6. Oh, come on. Here we go. Discuss and consider action on ordinance number 021226-01, a rezone application for the property described as 13378 US Highway 87 West Vernia, Texas. 78121, City of Vernia, Lot 274, Lot 1, Block 13, acres 1.07, requesting to change from the current zoning C1 Retail District to C2 General Commercial District.
I'll make a motion to follow the recommendation of planning and zoning and not accept the rezone from, on ordinance number 021226-01 from C1 to C2.
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion?
Yeah, I'll start with, I heard a lot of the concerns tonight about what another coffee shop's gonna do, and specifically preventing the grind from coming to Vernia. I want you all to know that that is not something that we have the authority, nor should we be able to stop a company from coming in and setting up shop in Vernia. What we do have is a city code that requires us to meet the guidelines of that. And so what we're discussing tonight is not whether or not the grind should come to that spot and build their coffee shop. We're deciding whether or not we're gonna rezone it from C1 to C2 for multi-use. That's what we're discussing. So I want everybody to know that it's not something that any of us here can decide to protect one business, protect another business, prevent a business from coming in. Just like we've talked about with Mexican restaurants. If another Mexican restaurant wants to come in and that they got a parcel of land that is zoned for that type of business, we don't have the authority to say you cannot come in. And I want to make that very clear because we have local businesses that do a lot, and I get it, and it is going to be competition. So, but what we're talking about is simply the zoning issue. We're not talking about the business. So even if we say, hey, we're not going to rezone this, that doesn't mean that that business doesn't get to come to Vernia and doesn't need to get to set up shop here. So I think there's always confusion because I've taken several calls from people who said, hey, what can we stop it? Can we? It's like, no, that's not how this works. Okay, that's not how the government works. And Mr. Recker, passionately said is true. It's free market, and that's what we're based on. So, as I say that, I want to make sure it's clear, and the reason why I'm going to support not rezoning it, though, is because although the plans are for the grind to be there, if this falls through and we rezone it tonight, then we've opened up that parcel of land to be utilized for other businesses that we did not originally designate that parcel of property to be put on. So with that, Mr. Mayor, I support the motion.
Okay, well, we have a motion and a second, and I appreciate your candor. I believe that's why we had Javier read the long list of things you can do in C2 and not C1. There is concern what could happen down the road with that it being C2 and not C1. So that is legitimate, and that is what we focused on because that is what the limit of what we are supposed to focus on. So that being said, does anybody else have any other comments?
Yeah, I think, one of the things I think about is just the consistency that we've tried to have. I understand, the Whataburger is C2. That was before any of our time here. Over the last 5 years, we've tried to be very consistent in whether it be neighborhoods or whether it be other businesses that want to come in here. We tell them, if you want to build in our city, build to our rules, right? And all of those properties around there are C1. We have the staff propose to you to use the SUP as the route. It's fine, y'all chose to try to go to C2. But I think the consistency is what we try to get, right? Keep it C1, about what the mayor talked, C2 does open us up to a lot more businesses, because once it's rezoned, it's open. And then if y'all don't buy the property, it's still rezoned, right? So it opens us up to a lot of things. And that's why I second the motion.
Okay. Any other commentary? All right. All those in favor of the motion? Aye. Anyone opposed to the motion? Motion carries 4-0. We are denying the rezone from C1 to C2. That's what I said. Sorry. Turns out there's 5 of y'all. 5 of them. 5 of them. All right. Moving on to item 7, discussion only. We have discussion regarding murals.
Hi, Council. The reason why we're having discussion is there's that excellent history regarding murals being placed in the city. We were approached by someone wanting to do a welcome to Vernia sign on a gas station or a car wash wall that's empty right now. And a school district wants to partner with this landowner to paint that welcome to Vernia sign. Currently, as the code stands, no wall paint signs are allowed in the city. So, city staff sees 3 options. One of them is to do a variance with this. They follow the normal variance process and have a personal planning zoning. The second option is to amend the code to allow this to include a wall painting murals to be allowed within the city. And the third option, which is sort of a longer future plan, is to create an art district within the city so that we can start establishing where these areas can be considered an art district. There's no action with this, it's just trying to get what council wants to see happen with this. So for the fourth option is if y'all aren't really down for this, we can just go ahead and let them know that this is, we're just asking for some council direction.
We discussed this a year ago.
Yeah.
And
A little more than a year ago.
yeah, we decided against it because we really can't control what the mural is, right?
We didn't know that, can I say something? I'm sorry.
Sure.
Okay, we didn't, the code enforcer told us that there was no code, there was no city code against it. We asked her several times about it, and she told us that there was no city code against it. She said, so we would just need to come to city council to get it approved. And we gave her a drawing of what we were interested in doing, and it's like you see in any small town where they have the small little postcard, welcome to Livernia, greetings from Livernia.
Yeah.
Again, it's going to be the high school students, graphic and art department that are going to be helping us do this mural. But again, she told us there was no city code against it.
We don't have it on this, I want to say, because I feel certain that we found
Yeah,
I know we talked about it, but so my question, the first thing you said, first option you gave was a variance. Okay, so if we were to consider a variance, could that variance be specific to that particular sign and then in the future, if that anything was going to change with that wall, it would not fall within the variance?
So the thought process for the variance to me is that since it's very tailored to y'all, the owners would be partnering with the school. The school has a lot of say on what can be built there, essentially, because they with the graphic arts and their.
Well, I mean, we could come to the city, show y'all everything, and, get it approved. The school is not going to have everything to say with it. They just told us, it was our idea, myself, Whitney Yoakum, Heather Murray, it was our idea to do this. We've had this idea for a while now. We were just actually trying to find a business that would do it. And then when we approached Bree, she's like, yeah, there's nothing, in the city ordinance, and then to come talk to y'all about it.
Yeah, so I don't think we're opposed to the idea.
Right.
But the problem, the concern is, it's not a problem, the concern is that if we just blanket allow it,
Correct.
We open up a can of worms, and
Correct.
yeah, you're gonna paint something super cool that we're all gonna love. And then 2 years from now, somebody's gonna come here and say, hey, let's make it look like a train in Chicago.
Well, no, well, even the art teacher, she was concerned with us painting someone else buying the business and it being painted over after the art students spent hours on it. She was already concerned about that, so she wanted to make sure that, could there be something in there where if, someone bought the business, that it would stay on the wall.
We have no control.
No,
over that.
I know that you don't have any control over it, but
What business is it? that y'all
Car
have?
wash.
the Vernia car wash,
The one
Which-
up on the hill or the one here?
right here by Circle K.
Oh.
They want to paint a cool welcome to Lavernia sign on the side of the
Well,
car.
can you,
Read
Yeah.
the
like,
letter that showed the picture.
Yeah.
Read the letter, I'm gonna read it out loud. In accordance with Vernia City Ordinance, the following section of the ordinance addresses the request for a mural on the side of the Vernia car wash. Chapter 26, signs. On January 15th, 2026, I received a text from Winnie Gilpin from the Lavernia car wash. She asked if the Lavernia High School art students could paint a mural on the side of the car wash wall. The picture below shows something like they would want to do just for Vernia focus. Issue: the sign ordinance defines the sign as any medium for visual communication or its structure used or intended to attract the attention of the public. Section 26-101.1 definitions. Per Section 26-101, prohibited signs, subsection 13, wall painted signs are prohibited. With that said, Section 26-114 is the variance one, allows for variance requests for any non-conforming signs. And this is brief recommendation. As an art project that is focused on the city, could a variance be requested / approved to allow the high school students to showcase their talent, or even a modification to the ordinance to allow support for LVI's art students? If done correctly, it's a great way to welcome people into the city. So, again,
So Kim, so
Yes.
it's not that it's the mural, so there is no ordinance against murals. Anything painted on the side of a building is considered a sign. So that's where she was coming from on that one. So I understand now. Like, well, I understand why she said there's no ordinance against it,
Uh-huh.
right?
Uh-huh.
Because anything, it's a painted sign. So that's what we have to consider.
So, okay, yeah, variance, we talked about that. And I think we can get extremely specific with
Yeah.
variance if we want to go that route. What was the next option?
option 2 was to amend the code to just
To
allow.
allow it, which we had that conversation a little over a year ago, and we were adamantly opposed as a group to that.
And then sort of,
The third option you said was to create an art district in town.
yeah, and so that's sort of just a long-term planning aspect that sort of Felicia and I like brought up. It was very brief. We were thinking originally just like, I call it the school Broadway, because all the schools are right there, and then reaching the downtown district and also incorporating the park. We haven't done that much research because we don't want to get too deep into
Right,
it.
right.
You don't want to do it that way, but that's something that we were thinking about.
I mean, the drawing is pretty.
that's just an example of floor still, what Joel.
Yeah, I know. He's like, they spelled Lavernia wrong.
That was just one example we were showing you.
Yeah.
That's not.
My worry with this is everyone's interpretation of art is different, right? So that's my worry of opening this can, I guess.
But a variance would be very specific. And we have,
I would be fine to consider it if we saw what the art
Right, we would do
was.
renderings, they would do renderings.
My gut, from what I'm feeling and hearing, is probably pursue the variance route. And Javi can help guide you through that process, but you're hearing, we would want to see, a rendering. Show us what you're looking at or something close so that we see it and we understand it. And then we're probably going,
Sorry.
if
It's
that's for me,
8:30.
I'm not.
No, it's 8:30.
What do you mean it's bedtime?
So, everybody awake now. And then my guess is that if we were to approve the variance, it would probably be very specific in nature. So prepare for that and prepare for a lot of scrutiny because we've had this conversation and we are very gun shy to opening it up to, somebody's interpretation of art. So I think there's your guidance.
we'll have Bree reach out and such, and start that process.
All right. Next item is discussion regarding the monthly meter replacement report, Department of Public Works.
Right here.
We're over there.
Yeah, so we've got quite a bit of meters put in here recently since we started the whole changing out on Thursdays and Fridays and on the weekend. So far, we've gotten 668 in, and it leaves us with 185 left. So we're getting pretty close out of 852 accounts. So the first week we did, and we did 60 of them. They did 60 of them. The next week we did 45. So about 105 in 2 weeks. So they really were getting it. So we're doing pretty good on meter replacements. I don't know if you have any questions on that, but we're doing pretty good so far.
It's like that first digit being a 1.
Yeah, I know, for sure, me too. I'm super excited. We're getting really close. But it's just a lot of the pain in the butt ones are left, so some of them are taking quite a bit of time for, but still, I mean, doing 60 in that first week was very great.
Cool. All right, discuss, I'm sorry.
Oh, I was just gonna say, the next one was the water use survey.
Well, hang on, let me
Oh,
announce
okay.
it. The next item is discussion regarding last year's water use survey.
Okay, I didn't.
Take it away, Johnny.
I apologize, but yes, last year's water use survey, I got that all completed. We had a couple months that were pretty high usage, 16,588,000 gallons in August, almost 15 million in September, and that's pulling from both 6 and 7 combined. So we totaled out with a total of 148.6 million gallons that we pulled out of our wells last year, with a total connections of 852. That's everything that's been pumped out of them. I mean, that goes to fire, all the people in town, businesses, residential, commercial, everything. So about 109 million went to residential. The rest went to commercial and whatnot.
So about 109 million went to water and grass.
Pretty much, yeah, yeah. And 5.2 was unmetered, unregistered. So that's where we got our water loss at.
Okay, so you are keeping up with water loss.
Of course, yes, sir. So we got 5.2 million that went to water loss, and that was.
What's that percentage?
Oof, man, I didn't do the percentage.
He's doing math up here.
Yes.
Just make sure it doesn't like scream at us like we did.
Yeah, so 148.6, and then we had 5.2 mil loss. And that's us flushing, that's fire department flushing leaks.
5 out of 138, is that what it was?
Yes, sir. 148.
148, 5 divided by 148. Keep it simple.
Did the wrong way. 3%.
3%.
That's not bad.
Yeah.
Better than the 25%.
The goal should be this much.
Yeah, for sure.
Because water is life.
Yeah, we'll keep on changing out those meters. I think we can cut down that 3 even a little bit
Yeah,
smaller. So.
and that should be our goal, but I know we've got a lot of other goals that, are lower fruit that we've got to deal with first.
Yeah.
I'd like to see that number get as low as humanly possible.
I'm honestly super happy with the 3, but I wouldn't touch it more.
Okie dokie. Next item, discussion regarding the flood policy. Dr. Flood.
Yeah, Mark, let's stand over here.
You can stand wherever you want, sir.
Funny. Yeah, I can see that, absolutely. I will, do that. Well, Justin, you got your wish.
Got my wish.
You got your wish.
Thank y'all.
Draft me or come up with a new model for flood response back to the city. Not necessarily just for the evacuation, but the new flood siren. Protocols that the city is going to utilize hopefully if we get this adopted next month.
Are we looking at just one siren or?
Well, I have a quote from that one company. I believe it's 2 towers. That's just kind of a project that's we're looking into specifically on picking one of those, companies that, I'd like to get a couple more. Some of them integrate differently, and the one that we did look at would work with one we already have also. We'll be able to talk to each other, if you will.
Do they work independently, or are they gonna be conjoined if we go to?
Good joint.
Okay. So pushing of the button to announce council role there every county.
Yeah, that's one of the meeting.
Right.
Yes, on the testing phases.
I do want to add that we are working with the chief to, because those numbers are pretty big, and we're looking into one grant that seems like we could possibly use, and it's with the Congresswoman's office, so Congresswoman Monica Villagers.
Okay.
They have a grant application that's open right now,
Yep.
and I mean, they said that their grant is a pretty big ask, and we told them our numbers, and they said like, just shoot your shot, and everything. So, looking to work on that with that.
If you just hang that for a second. So, just to let you know, Mayor, as far as the model that we came up with, we did reach out to 4 other cities to acquire their protocols and their policy. That was Seguin, Centerpoint, San Marcos, and Leon Valley. So, the model that we chose with, it kind of fits our city, simple, easy, was the Leon Valley.
You just want to call it LV thing, that's kind of what.
Yeah. So we did craft it to kind of fit our city.
And I want to make a comment on that. So there's been a lot of stuff coming hot off the presses, you know, with what happened in Kerrville last year and legislature and everything. And there was an email that came out last Friday, and I knew Donald was working on this, so I shot it to him. And the cool part about modeling after Leon Valley is they're on it. They're current, they're keeping up, and by using that and modeling that, he did a quick spot check, but we're pretty much compliant with everything that's coming hot off the presses.
Yes, I was gonna say, I did read through most of it. I haven't finished through that email that you sent with that long, it's almost 90 pages long. But we are in correspondence with that, and there are some more grants that they suggested in there that I will follow up to get that going.
Awesome.
We'll go through, we did create this here so we can kind of summarize it for you. So basically how this protocol to work for the city, obviously we would have rain or water coming our way that we'd be monitoring. Would be the first part would be event detection, level determination. There are sensors right now. St. Hedwig has a sensor. Not sure if it's online yet, but it may. It was glowing today when I checked online. And then the other one's in Selma. So when we log in on that website, obviously I know, Mayor, you're real familiar with that. I think you're on the water board or something, right? That's that and Emergency Operations Center in Wilson County. We're hand in hand with them if we're going to get that water this way as we did in 1998. So with that one website is pretty much our go-to on water level and what's coming our way and then how we're going to respond that way. 2 would be obviously notification and communication, which would be amongst each other, community, those kind of things. Expected actions, how we're going to respond to those. And we're going to talk about that here in just a minute. And of course, the termination and follow-up when it's over, or we're going to downgrade the response when the water recedes. So next slide, please. So there's the first, the FREP stage, the first one's going to be the alert stage. Obviously, I talked about that's where we're going to start getting concerned as we've done over the years. We used to go down to the Cibolo with our meter, if you remember that back in the day, to see kind of where we were and what the expectations were. Now with the flood sensors, it'll be a whole lot easier and better prepared on what may come, and we'll be hopefully ahead of it. So the first alert stage, that would just be a lot of communication, a lot of checking, planning, possibly what's going to come down the road. The minor stage would be pretty much the same thing. We're talking, we're not quite sounding the alarms yet or putting people on standby, but water levels coming, how much, all those things to consider. The moderate stage, we'll go through that here in just a second. Same thing, that's coming up. There'll be a siren that we'll talk about in a minute, a short one during that, and of course the major flood stage, which is the big emergency for everyone in the city and the county to respond to. Next slide, please. So as we talked about in the first slide, the next step, execute appropriate flood response, assessing the status of the situation, continuous process, keeping others informed. Step 3, once the event level is determined by the color code that we have put in here, on making sort of EOC prescriptive notifications, which any prescriptive notification we send to committee would only come from EOC in Wilson County. All we would do is cut and paste it on our social media sites or however we want to send it out on the city side. We would cut and paste that. And we've had multiple meetings with Cindy Stafford, the sheriff, like any and everybody, fire, EMS, everybody. It's pretty much across the board if we copy their instructions. if you
And
will.
they are designated as our emergency management coordinator.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And a lot of this was really great information when we went to that December 3rd, that tabletop exercise. We talked about that. Avi was there. Who else was in the city there? You remember? Just you? Okay. Anyways, that was a great training exercise on to know what we need here for our city. Next slide, please. So step 4, is it resolved? Is there a recovery option, terminating the event, and then of course follow up after, depending on where we're at in that level. Next slide, please. So silver is when we're just getting started, report of upstream flowing, which would be the website, judgment of the FRAP coordinators at EOC, National Weather Service, watch notifications online, confirms flood safe routes are clear, confirms installation of high water signs and street barricades where needed, check employee flood hazard equipment, report it to dispatch, because we learned a lot about that when there's flooding. Everybody wants to call the sheriff's office, 911, want to know if it's going to flood. Send out the pre-script messages if needed. So that's the the lowest level of looking into what kind of emergency we may have in the flooding area. I'm sorry, what do we have? Okay, yellow is the automatic water alert notification, which would be our sensors. This is where I think a lot of communication will start with the EOC Center and us, and obviously we'll be boots on the ground here in the city. I think the command center would obviously be City Hall. Unless that's changed, I doubt it, because the sensors here, generators here, the room.
Well,
everything's here.
in '98, City Hall was dry.
Oh, it was?
I mean,
Okay.
yeah, that was a 500-year event, and so I think, keeping the command center here probably is, there's
Best
a lot of
practice.
risk with that.
Absolutely. Judgment of the FRAP coordinators, obviously we all be meeting and discussing the strategies or decisions. Ensure silver actions are completed, close roads if necessary, check and deploy hazard equipment, send out the message if necessary. Next slide. So the green section, obviously we have big water problems, witness voluntary self-evacuation. Obviously people are leaving their homes, packing up already, they know what's coming. Water levels on the road, judgment of the FRAP coordinators, all of us at EOC. Obviously ensure all the yellow actions are done before. So we're going to sound the flood watch siren here at City Hall for 1 minute, solid 1 minute. We're going to delay it 3 minutes and 1 more minute following that. And that's consistent with, we looked up, I think it's something or Texas Water Code, I have the chapter, it's kind of a standard time for the first siren warning. Place Vernia Command Center on standby, place shelters on standby, notify all road closures to Vernia ISD, Wilson County Sheriff's Office, and then we'll send out more prescriptive messages from Wilson County EOC.